Have you ever wondered if Native Americans lived in your backyard? I always did growing up, but where I grew up, no one really knew. So, over the past 10 years, I've put together this map, and today I will show you this map. I'll take you on a little tour, and and by the end of this video, maybe I'll have shown you a place where Native Americans lived in your backyard. Okay? So, let's dive in. As you can see on the East Coast, I am very interested in two general locations. The first location is obviously what was called in ancient times Lenape. Lenape is the area, the ancestral homeland of the Lenni Lenape tribe of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, southern New York, Delaware, and Maryland. This is what it looked like. You can see that the Lenni Lenape were divided into basically three, maybe four groups. There was the Muncie dialect up in northern New Jersey, southern New York, northern Pennsylvania, the Unalaktigo dialect, which was sort of in the middle of New Jersey, spoken in the middle of New Jersey and middle PA along the Delaware River, and then the southern group was the Unami dialect, and they were the Turtle Clan, and that's the group, the clan that I'm most familiar with because Pennsylvania or Philadelphia was right in the center of the Unami heartland. Now, there's also this other group over on Long Island that was possibly also related to the Lenape, but I don't know too much about them. So you'll see as I go through the map that there are certain gaps because I've focused on specifically Philadelphia and the surrounding regions where I've marked dozens, if not hundreds, of places. But there are gaps, and we'll get to those later. So let's start in Delaware County, over in on the western side, or southwest of Philadelphia in Lenape. So you can see I've marked. Now, the other thing I want to say is also not all of these places are specifically ancient sites. For instance, I've marked the Caleb Pusey historic site, which was a Finnish, and then I've marked the Finnish settlers monument in Chester, PA. I've marked several other colonial places, but most for the most part, most of these dots on the map are ancient Native American sites. I've also made a lot of videos about these sites, so as we go through, I'll try to tell you, hey, I've made a video about this site. You can go check it out. Okay, so let's go in. So in the area where I grew up, there are many places in Delaware County right here. There's Smedley Park was probably an ancient Native American site. There was certainly a mill there, and the mill that was made and built in Smedley Park was probably built on the site of an ancient Native American village. This is Crum Creek. Crum Creek goes all the way down to the Delaware and connects to the Delaware in Chester. Chester is a major city. Chester itself had several Native American sites, and you'll notice sometimes like this bend in the creek, I'm pretty sure there would have been a site here, also because there's a little creek coming in. And I always say this in all my videos, you'll see that where two bodies of water meet is where villages used to be built, and this would have been a very defensible place in ancient times. There was for sure a Native American village at the end of Chester Creek. So anyway, these are all different sites that I've marked. Some of them I don't know, but I've marked, for instance, this dot here because it's the grave of the signer of the Declaration of Independence, but John Morton. This is also the William. This is the Penn landing site when Penn actually first arrived in Pennsylvania. The first time he came to Pennsylvania, he actually came to Chester, not Philadelphia, and I've marked that. I also did a video on that, so you can go find that video. Now, the creeks were all populated. There would have been settlements all up and down the creeks of Lenape. New Sweden was built on what is now in Essington, next to the Philadelphia airport. That is where the Swedish colony, before the English came, there were the Swedes and the Dutch. The Dutch were up in New York, and the Swedes were down here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and they built their fort. They built their settlement on the near Gibbstown and Essington, right where the Philadelphia airport is. So Gibbstown, New Jersey, there's the CA Nothnagel Log Cabin House, which is the third oldest building in America. It's still standing. You can go see it. I made a video about it. Check it out. Going further north into the interior of Delaware County, there's an Indian Rock Park in along the Darby Creek. There are several sites on the Darby Creek that are probably where Native Americans lived. I These are also places I plan to explore in the future. So, I'm not sure if Indian Rock Park actually is a native site, but it's called Indian Rock Park, and it from the geography around the park, it looks like there are other sites. So, for instance, the Lower Swedish Cabin is there. That's I think the it's in the top 10. It's maybe the sixth oldest site, seventh oldest site building in America. I think it's one of the top 10 oldest buildings in America, I believe. It's right on Darby Creek. I did a video about that. You can go check it out. The Darby Friends Meeting House, there's definitely some sort of Native American presence around that area. Meeting houses were often built near Native American settlements. Now, I haven't marked everything. There are some gaps. So, for instance, Montgomery Park is definitely a place where there would have, I think there would have been a Native American site, partly because I've been to the Morton House, which is a colonial house where John Morton and his ancestors lived. John Morton being the signer of the Declaration of Independence. They lived in this house as well as the Morton Homestead, which is over here, or this little green patch. Now the Morton Homestead is and the Morton House are at the ends of creeks, right? There was a little inlet here, and these are both on Darby Creek. This is on Muckinapattis Creek that empties into Darby Creek. There was an arrowhead found, at least one arrowhead found, and it's in the Morton house on display. You can go see it. So the Native Americans were definitely in this area, and just from what I know about the landscape and the way Native Americans where they built their settlements, it stands to reason there would have been some sort of settlement right at the mouth of Muckinapattis Creek. In fact, there are some records that Native Americans were sort of on this peninsula. So that's one area. I also didn't mark this, but this Glen Manor Apartments, right behind Glen Manor Apartments is where this ancient Council Rock was in Lenape. So that's all Delaware County stuff. There are many other places to check out along Darby Creek. I've marked, some places where you can find garnets. This is near Mary Place. You can find garnets. There's the most famous place that I've been to in Delaware County is the Broomall Rock Shelters, and that's right off 476. Okay, it's in Darby, in Broomall. So it's called the Broomall Rock Shelters. It's right there, right where Route 3 meets 476 in Broomall, near Linwood. Going up north, 476 takes you into Conshohocken. Now, there are tons of Native American sites all through here that I haven't been able to suss them out yet. I just have to do the research. But all up these creeks and all the way up to Phoenixville, there were definitely places in Phoenixville. This bend in the river was a very defensible position. There were creeks coming in, and there are some records of longhouses in the valley. I believe on this side of the Schuylkill River in Phoenixville. Right here, there would have been longhouses, but these are guesses, and I dropped a pin here because there's there were potentially circles that I saw of wigwams that, I don't know for sure, but I'm just looking at Google Maps and you see some places like that. And there's also sometimes the street names of places indicate where Native Americans used to live. So there's some Native American street names in the woods. Maybe they lived in the, Indian Woods Lane. Maybe there were Native Americans here at some point near Collegeville. Coming up farther north into Montgomery County, up 476 near Hatfield, there was a Native American site. I made a video about this place off Wombold Road. There's an old house there. You can check that out. There's also a Native American site, basically on where Butter Creek meets Unami Creek. Now, Unami Creek was the name of the Native Americans who lived there. Butter Creek is a creek that came in, and of course, 476 just built right over that ancient Native American site. It's been there for probably 10,000 years, and they just built this highway straight through. You can see that 476 really bisects a major part of Lenape. I mean, this highway really goes, and all the highways, they really carved up Lenape. So there, a lot of the reason we know about village sites is when they were building highways, they just the people, PennDOT basically uh, had archaeologists who had to sift through what they found as they were digging through these ancient places to put a road in. So that documentation is why we know they're there. But throughout the whole area, there are going to be other sites wherever one creek meets another that we just haven't discovered yet. So going up into Bucks County, north of, this is Trenton now, north of Philadelphia, is Bucks County, up near Trenton. Trenton itself was a huge Native American site. I mean, just there are just so many places that I haven't even marked yet. I haven't had time, but I will. This whole area was massively populated by Native Americans. Bordentown, all the way up through Trenton, all the way up, to Ewing Township, up to Washington Crossing. And Washington Crossing is where Washington forded the Delaware to then swing down south to attack Trenton from the north during the Revolutionary War. So, but this whole area was populated in ancient times by Native Americans. So there are tons of little spots, like look at all these creeks coming in to Delaware County. This is Buck Creek. That's Brock Creek. Is that right? Brock Creek. Yeah. So there would have been village there. There's probably a village right here, right at the intersection of Buck Creek and Brock Creek. And if not there, then where Buck Creek goes into the Delaware, there would probably have been a village. I haven't even marked it. So, but I have marked some other places in Delaware County or Bucks County. The major one being Playwiki. Playwiki Park is where there was an ancient Native American village, or it's a Playwiki farm specifically. Playwiki Farm is a Native American village. Let's see, there are other really interesting places. What's this? These are just spots along Neshaminy Creek that I've marked as probably worth checking out as Native American sites. Mostly because, again, a creek comes into Neshaminy Creek, a little run. That's a good spot, especially with an island north of it. That would have been perfect. Let's see if there are some other cool spots I can show you. This, I believe, this site is on Byberry Creek and Poquessing. Poquessing is a Native American word. Byberry Creek is coming into Poquessing, so it stands to reason that right here, off Route 13, is where a Native American site probably would have been. I would have guessed. I would guess. So if you're near there, that's probably right in your backyard. If you live anywhere near there, Pennypack Park, definitely there were Native American sites throughout Pennypack Creek, throughout Pennypack Park. I mean, look at all these. This is a creek, a little ancient creek coming into Pennypack Creek. This is a peninsula, very defensible. You can just set up a little village there. I mean, these are all sites you can check out. If you live near Pennypack Creek, you're definitely in an ancient place. You're living near an ancient place. Now, there's one place I want to show. Let me look. I think so. This is near where I think I went looking um, for Tamanend's grave, Chief Tamanend, I believe. Doylestown, is that right? Am I near Doylestown? Up this way. This is yeah. I think these are where. Well, in any case, I haven't marked them properly, but these look like good places where I would bet there are Native American sites. I mean, look at this. Look at this creek coming into Neshaminy Creek. You know, what is this creek called? Little Neshaminy Creek. Okay, there you go. So where Little Neshaminy Creek meets Neshaminy Creek, very good place for a Native American village to be built. So if you live near there on Neshaminy Creek, you should look around if you can see some arrowheads. But there was one other place. All right, so there's a very special ancient place on at the inn at Barley Sheaf Farm. Okay, now right down. I haven't marked it exactly, but right here in the woods, there's like a patch of woods right around here somewhere, off Lahaska Creek. It's an ancient spring, okay, and it's called. Let me see if I can remember the name of the spring. This is. Did I write it in my notes? You can see I've got little notes here. Um, it's called Conkey Hole. That's right. It's called Conkey Hole. Conkey Hole is an inversion of Okakonky or something like that. It was Okie Conk or something some Native American word of that sort, and that's where after the Walking Purchase, I believe, this is where some of the last Native American groups gathered in from Lenape. They gathered at Conkey Hole. Oh, Holly Kong Park is named after Conkey Hole, which is this natural spring in this patch of woods, and they gathered there, and before they set out for Oklahoma. This is the last place where the Lenape groups of Bucks County and Lenape and northern New Jersey gathered to the west before they headed out um, to Oklahoma, which is where Lenape, one of the Lenape groups, the federally recognized tribe, is out in Oklahoma. Now there are, of course, Lenape groups here in PA and New Jersey and elsewhere in Lenape, but that's where, and supposedly where some of the last Lenape met up before heading west. Now, north of that, I've also researched Cuttalusa Road, and Cuttalusa Road is probably where there was an Indian town where this mill was built. Yeah. So there you go. Aquatong Road is named after some creeks that are probably very ancient. I mean, look, there are Sulbury throughout these areas. There are major sites for Lenape. I'm gonna probably have to do another video. We'll have to do another video, but there's a quick overview of just, some of the major sites that I've made videos about. Some of them, others I haven't. Like, I haven't done Conkey Hole yet. I haven't done Cuttalosa Road. I have to do a lot more in Bucks County. I've been up this is the Delaware Water Gap area, and I've done the Bevins Rock Shelter. I've done Raymond's Kill Run village site, and I've done the Shawnee Minisink archaeological site. I've done videos for all of these places. The Shawnee Minisink archaeological site is 13,000 years old. At least 13,000 years old. So it's a very ancient place. The Delaware Water Gap is it's basically coextensive with an ancient collection of villages called Minisink. The Minisink area was a heavily populated area, a collection, a conglomeration of similar villages that formed a society that 10,000 years ago was very active in this area. And it's just north of New York. Now, here's one thing I also have to do. I've marked some in up the Hudson. This is the Passaic River. There are some Lenape fishing weirs you can still see in the Passaic River. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a triangle. Anyway, so there's definitely some major Native American sites around northern New Jersey, Mawa, Goshen. I have to do more research up in these areas, and then also along up into Long Island and Connecticut. So there are some major holes that I have to fix. New Jersey is very sparsely populated. I've noted some places out on Long Beach Island. There's some spots. There's a shell mound you can go see in which park is this? Thoroughfare Point. If you take Great Bay Boulevard out, there's a shell mound there that you can see at low tide, where Native Americans for thousands of years they used to have, basically they probably lived on the beach on stilt houses in the tidal zone, and they just ate oysters and chucked the oysters into the marsh, and over thousands of years this huge mound is what's left over, this mound of shells. It's called a midden. So I marked that, but there are so many other places in southern New Jersey I haven't explored well enough. There's some museums. Also in Delaware, look, there's practically nothing I've marked in Delaware. And then over in Washington, D.C., there are a bunch of places. Around Baltimore, there's some places, but I have to do a better job of exploring. I mean, I've got some interesting sites, like down in Maryland. If you live near the Kings Branch that feeds into the Patuxent River, there's definitely major Native American sites somewhere on the Kings Branch here. You can go find arrowheads back in the woods there, but that's really random. I found a lot of these places just searching old forums, just doing my own sort of search of the internet. So I haven't looked too much at archaeological records, but I'm sure archaeologists have better maps than this. This is just my own personal map. One other point you can see for the future, there's this big gap through the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains in western Pennsylvania, that I haven't filled in. There are many sites here. There's, of course, there's the Meadowcroft rock shelter to the west of Pittsburgh, which is a 13,000, 14,000, maybe even 16,000 year old site. It's one of the oldest places in North America. It's maybe the second or third oldest Native American site in North America, and it's one of the ways we know when Native Americans arrived in North America is from the Meadowcroft rock shelter here in Pennsylvania. So it's very special. And then, of course, in the future, I also need to tackle the entire South. I haven't done much in the Southeast at all. So there's a quick overview. I'll also hopefully do the more up in New England, but for now I'm just focusing on Lenape. So we'll do New Jersey, we'll do southern New York, we'll do Delaware, we'll do more in Maryland, and then of course more in Pennsylvania, and just really fill in the map of Lenape, and I'll try to explore all of these places in the future. If you are from any of these places, if I mentioned any spots or you see any places on the map that you want to know more about, feel free to send me an email. My email is going to be in the description. I'll tell you what I can figure out about these places. The other thing is I've been really bad about answering my emails. So this week on New Year's Day, on Thursday, I'm going to do a live stream. And I'm basically going to force myself to respond to all of the emails that I've gotten over the past year that I haven't yet responded to, which I'm very sorry about, but I'm going to do it on New Year's Day, this Thursday. Let's just say 7 p.m. I'm going to start a live stream, and I'm just going to sit there and respond to emails. And if you want to come hang out with me while I respond to all your emails, feel free to jump into the chat. Look for it on my channel here on YouTube. 7 p.m. this Thursday, New Year's Day. I'll be responding to emails and hanging out. So come hang out with me. In the chat, in the description, there's also merch. There's memberships going. Check it all out. And that's it for now. I hope this, tour of Lenape was interesting. And I'll be doing more as I fill in this map. I'll probably do a few updates of this video in the future. So thanks for watching. Take care.